One of the things that's very significant in the park is that when you're over by Squib, the BQE, it turns away and it heads off into Brooklyn. But right on the edge of our site, the BQE is very close and it pushes a lot of noise. You know, when they built the BQE, it was a maritime warehouse district, and a lot of noise created by the factories and not the factories, the warehouses and the unloading and so forth. But as a parkland, it's a little noisy. That's a little high. And so what we've worked with acoustical engineers, and we're creating a landform. It doesn't seem numerically like that's a big drop, but this has a logarithmic relationship, and the very significant difference conversationally between this and this, and this is right at the water's edge. Actually, as you get out on the piers, it drops down even further. But it isn't only a device for sound control. One of the things that happened if you remember those drawings in the beginning, the land of the heights used to be an incline that came down to the water, and now it's chopped off. And one of the things that this does when you're in the park and walking on the main walking trail is, as you're walking along in this scenario, you'll have the water and the piers at one side and the occupiable landscape rolling up and then being topped off even more steeply with meadow grasses at the top. And when you look to the side, it will be like a wave of green going up on the side. And so the feeling of being in that landscape will be much more of a landscape embrace rather than a hard edge of the city with the BQE and then a flat landscape. And then the other thing is that the landscape is quite deep here. You're actually over in these areas pretty far from the water. And what this topography does is that it lets you get up on this landscape high enough that you can see out to the water. So it's a very important way of making the views more accessible to everybody. And that's what it would look like when it's built, and of course the trees have had a few years to grow. But the edge has been relaxed and the beach has been made, and that's that landform, the trees growing in, so that when you're walking by, it's a little bit like it was before the BQE was connected. That's a ways away, but it's not that. I mean, you know, it took 25 years to build Central Park, so we're actually going at like lightning speed. Right, Regina? That's what it feels like every day, doesn't it? Godspeed. Not really. It is pretty amazing that this much has happened. Next. So Pier 4 is the old railroad pier, and that's actually going to be cut off from the land and turned into a nature pier. Next. And then Pier 5 has the picnic peninsula, and then Pier 5 is, go ahead, is where this is 5 being demolished quite a while ago now, almost 2 years ago, and go ahead, and that this will be AstroTurf and state-of-the-art facilities. Next. And of course the old entrance from Atlantic Avenue and what it's being turned into today. Next. And the rendering of the entrance, it's a curved entrance because, as I said, when you come down Atlantic, the park is not actually in front of you, it's to the right. And so there's a strong curve. And we also raise the land up very slightly so that when you get midpoint on the upland of the pier, you're lifted up about 3 feet so you can see the water. And then you go back down on the other side. And if you check out this structure here, and now we go to the next rendering, there it is being installed a couple weeks ago. It's been a great winter for building a park, I must say. Sort of like the symmetry that this evening should be a kind of hellstorm when I'm giving this talk. The contractors have been amazing. They will not be throttled progress is being made. Next. Some of the marsh area under construction, or the stream area, I mean, next. And several amazing slides manufactured by this really fantastic state-of-the-art play equipment company in Germany. Fantastic slides. Next. And then the top of the cafe, this is an old rendering. It was waiting for an official name, but we called it the Warming Hut Terrace for a while. But it's a little structure, little building that was inside of the pier that we kept. It's very humble. It's a very humble building. It's a concrete building, but I haven't said too much about it tonight, but there has been a real effort to keep a memory trace of the pier-like history. The footprint, some of the perimeter structures that have been retrofitted with lighting, and some of these little structures which Marianne Thompson has, an architect from Cambridge, Mass, has retrofitted in, and there'll be restaurant and cafe in there. So, and then this is more of the playground under construction. Next. And this thing called Regina Slide Valley? Swing Valley. Of course it has swings in it, Michael. But it's rollicking and fun. And it's crazy. It's full of, it's going to be just like a very popular thing with kids. Next. And then someday, the Pier 6 landscape, which is a series of smaller lawns that are planted on the edges in a way that tries to work with the wind and the kind of exposure that's out there, so that the lawns are bracketed with plantings that will direct the winds over its smaller lawns. And then at the middle, there's a perched wetland of hibiscus. This was actually something we observed when we were in a highline competition, that when the drains filled up and the birds dropped seeds from, New Jersey and so forth, that there were actually like pitcher plants from the pine barrens and things like that able to grow. And so it inspired us to collect the water and to make this deck, which projects out into a marsh. And this is one of my favorite summer plants. It's rose mallow. It's a hibiscus. And I thought, how great for city dwellers that don't get to go out to beach houses or whatever, that they would have something like that to look at in the middle of the city. Thank you very much. It was an honor to be invited.